do us some theme music really quick? Okay. I don't Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I think that's how that song went. I don't remember. Okay. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the OutLoud&Awkward podcast. I am your host, Richard, and with me is my co-host.
Call me Battleship.
Call me Stacy. That's not my name.
Sure.
Moving that out of the way. This is just, I'm telling you, 35% right now.
Well, you told me, not them, so tell them how tired and dead you are.
I feel
That's why
dead
you made that
right
cringy
now.
joke.
I did. That's why the cringy Attack of the Killer Tomatoes theme song came up, and then I made the cringy.
Well, that's not cringy at all.
I mean, the whole point of this episode is weird, basically, in my head, cringy horror movies. But either way, what has been going on? What have you been up to, my lovely, lovely pal? I'm flirting.
I've watched so many movies.
So many?
So many. A lot of them are bad, and I don't want to feel like sitting here and trashing stuff, so I'm going to skip those.
Every single one. Name each one of them.
Well, plus a lot of them are for this podcast, so I'm not even going to bother you typing in. A lot of them aren't, but a lot of them are.
Well,
that
make sure it did pop pretty loud.
But I'll mention at least the two movies I went to the theater to go see, Smile and Scream 2.
Oh, yeah.
Scream 2 was awesome, but I mean, obviously I've seen it many times. You know, I just wanted to see it in theaters, which is funny because they never expanded the screen.
Oh, really? So it was still
it was cut off on both sides of the whole movie,
ratio.
Which didn't really bother me, but like, I was just the whole time waiting.
Yeah. I've been waiting to hear your opinions on Smile.
Dude, so good.
Is it? Okay.
It
I was really with all the like sponsorship that has basically been getting,
yeah,
like, with people going out to like sporting events and like standing in the background of the camera. I'm like, this movie has to be something for them to want to like go this far out into like making sure people hear about it.
Well, it's more like what I've been looking for lately, where it's atmospheric. You know, it's not like dumb fun or just a generic slasher. Where I'm kind of starting to get tired of those because I've just seen too fucking many at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I want something that's kind of like The Shining or Phantasm or Nightmare on Elm Street. And it definitely fit that bill. I mean, the music was amazing.
Nice and creepy vibes.
Yeah, creepy vibes and actual good like cinematography and music and stuff that actually enhanced it.
I'm going to wait until it's out on DVD and I'm going to give it a watch.
You go right now.
I mean, I want to, but I don't really have time to be doing all
That's
that.
That's how I feel about Barbarian. I wanted to catch that in theaters so bad, but I just never got a chance to.
I've been trying to, because I didn't know what that was until you had brought it up, and so I looked into it. That does sound like a really good movie. I watched the trailer for it. I was like, okay, this does.
We'll be on streaming in 2 weeks.
Will it really?
It'll be on HBO Max, I think.
Well, there we go. Andrew's coming through for us again. Anything else you've been up to?
I started Freddy's Nightmares.
Oh, is that that TV show you were talking about last week? Yeah.
I didn't know the first episode directed by Toby Hooper, who made Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2.
Yeah.
The second episode was made by Tom McLaughlin, who made Friday the 13th Part 6. And it also starred the actress who, I can't remember her name offhand, but she was Tina in Part 7 of Friday the 13th.
Jeez.
So, and then I know the third episode was made by Mick Garris, who does like a bunch of the Stephen King adaptions.
Oh, that's pretty.
So it's kind of crazy how stacked it is.
Yeah. I thought my charger was over there.
Besides that, I haven't been doing too much.
Well, for me, I mean, I've been doing the same, watching a bunch of horror movies. Some good, some bad, some real bad. Other than that, I watched the Behind the Mask of Leslie Vernon. That was I mean, it had really good reviews going into it anyways, like when I saw it. But I watched it, and honestly, I wasn't expecting like a documentary style.
Yeah.
And it brings up like Jason's killings at Crystal Lake and Freddy's killings on Elm Street, and then it brings up Michael Myers, and then it had in the movie Freddy Krueger himself.
Yeah.
Was in the movie.
And Jason.
Yeah, he was like, Jason was one of the dudes that shut the door. He was like one of the neighbors or something that they tried going to talk to, I think.
Yeah, who was like watching over the Elm Street house or whatever. Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All the like those big horror icons kind of showed back up. I mean, obviously they weren't playing their horror icon personas, but like the actors were in there. And I just thought that was pretty awesome to see. And honestly, the whole documentary style that they went with, and you think like the whole time that he's going after like one certain person, but he's actually wanting the like journalist herself. And I was like, holy, I did not see this guy. Like I kind of did near the end, but at the beginning I did not. And starting it off, I was just, it was just kind of interesting because it followed Leslie Vernon, but the dude who was Leslie Vernon wasn't actually, his name was like Leslie McLaughlin or something like that. I can't remember exactly what his name was, but I don't know. It was just really awesome, and I think I highly recommend anybody go watch it.
Yeah, it's my favorite modern horror movie.
Yeah, because it was made in 2006, and it had really good vibes of like those old horror slashers, but like it kind of gave like a new twist onto it. Yeah. And he went step by step on like how he would like they would do like the slashers would like find their victims and kill these people, and I was like, okay, this is actually kind of interesting. Like him walking, like they're following this murderer around like step by step how he would kill these kids, and I was like, okay, I'm vibing with this. This is kind of funny and cool. I like it because it had so many comedic effects in it that I loved, and so like it was a good like horror comedy, but it still had like that good slasher vibe to it.
Well, he was scary when he wanted to be.
Oh yeah, like when he started, like when he actually became Leslie Vernon and was like chasing them around in the house. That's when like you can really sense the like old school slasher vibes, where everything else was kind of more like comedic tone. But then it got to that point, and you were like, okay, now it's darker, and I just thought that was pretty interesting. All right, sorry about that. My son was getting a little upset, getting his diaper changed. Well, I was just explaining why there was like a random cut. What else? I watched the newest episode of Andor. That show is still really good. Like,
we don't care, Richard.
It's not kid or family things. It's nerd things that I'm talking about.
Yeah, but it's Star Wars, so we
don't care. Doesn't matter. I mean, the other people don't.
I speak for
but no, I think it's really good. I think because this latest episode, I would say it's more of like a heist kind of thing. So it was just really cool to see them like infiltrate and do what they needed to do. And like at this point, you still haven't really seen any stormtroopers in the show. Like it's mainly just like Imperial guards and like Imperial officers in the show for the most part. So it's kind of cool to see him infiltrate and like get the information that he needs and what he needs to do. And I don't know, I just really love the show, and I think it's kind of what Star Wars needed to not give us all the Skywalker and force like the Skywalker and Palpatine stuff down our throats all the time. Like give us something like kind of off that line, but it feels like Star Wars, in which this does kind of feel like Star Wars, but it's off that like kind of beaten path that they've been constantly walking over and over again. So like it feels kind of nice, and it's a nice difference for Star Wars. What else have I been doing? I watched the newest episode of She-Hulk with Daredevil in it, and I like seeing him. Because, so there's been people complaining. I don't know if you've seen it. There's been people complaining about Daredevil in that show and how he was too funny in it. And I was like, no. Daredevil in the comics was a funny guy. Like, he made jokes all the time. Like, he was pretty much like Spider-Man in a way, but more adult. And people were also like, I can't believe he just slept with She-Hulk. Well, that's another thing. Daredevil was also a major player in the comics, so like it all makes sense for his character because that man slept with so many Marvel characters in the comics. So like it makes sense for him to be the way that he is. And I like that version. I mean, I love the Netflix version, don't get me wrong, but I think like it's like a good mix. It will be like a good mix of both in a way for the new MCU style.
Yeah,
I think it works out really well.
They were gonna change some stuff.
Oh yeah, because I think it was obviously really really dark, the Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of like the new happier kind of twist where he's still obviously not fully happy, but like he kind of makes more of those quirky jokes that I kind of like.
Yeah, I'm glad they line it up a bit. Plus the costume is just awesome.
It's so great. I really want him to get the double D's on his chest.
Yeah, that would be cool.
For. And then I like She-Hulk as a character. I don't like the show still, but I like her as a character. And I think it's going to be really cool to see where she goes in the MCU from, like, here.
Yeah.
Also, have you heard the news that I think it's after Loki, and I think there's, like, a couple of other TV shows that are coming out, that they're going to start releasing them as, like, specials. So, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is going to be, like, an hour special. Mm-hmm. And then we had the Werewolf by Night just recently. That was an hour special. So I think what they're going to do from like now on, besides like the Loki series, which is already filmed, and the Echo series that's already kind of filmed, but I think everything from that point, like from now on, will just kind of be like hour-long specials, just so they're not constantly bogging us down every single week with Marvel stuff, which I don't really mind, but at the same time, it does kind of get... It just gets so boring. Like, you just feel like there's too much, and you're just kind of like, all right, I'm getting kind of fatigued going through all this. I mean, I still enjoy it, but it definitely feels like so much is happening. Like, you don't get all the hype as you do with, like, the Marvel movies anymore, because you have Marvel every single week. And so, I think it will be a good way, because I know a lot of things don't really need that 8-episode series. Like, honestly, Moon Knight I think could have benefited a lot from like an hour special on like his kind of character, and then later on they could delve a little deeper into his background stuff or whatever they wanted to do. But I think it probably would have benefited from like either 2-hour-long specials or just 1-hour-long special, and just kind of left it at that instead of here's 8 30-minute episodes where most of the time nothing's really going to happen for the most part, but it helps with the plot. And so I'm just like, okay, I mean, I like it, but it also seems like too much. Sorry. Other than that, I haven't really been doing anything. That's mainly what I've been doing, and watching these horror movies. Huh?
I said, what a loser.
I know, you've been doing so much more than me, haven't you?
Yeah.
You didn't mention a single thing.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't
I mentioned many things, you fucking dope.
Whatever, bozo. I've been watching It's Always Sunny.
Well, I also rewatched The Shining, which was awesome, of course.
Oh, yeah, that movie is pretty good. But do you want to get into the meat of this episode? What this...
As long as you never say it like that again.
The meat of this episode. I said it again, so now what do you want to do?
Not get into it.
All right, I guess we're sitting here for the rest of this episode, so I hope you guys enjoy silence. Fuck. ASMR. We gotta whisper now. You can't hear that in my, but I can, and that was disgusting. All right. We're talking about weird horror movies, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, weird movies, basically horror comedies for the most part. What I want to first say before we get into this, I got to pull up my notes. But I know you have actually rate stuff. I don't like to do that. I mean, I do have some of them rated like a blank out of 10 or whatever. But for the most part, I'm giving these movies either thumbs ups or thumbs downs. And that's how...
Am I supposed to rate mine?
I mean, I rated mine because I was like, I'll go ahead and rate. Because you've been rating stuff here recently, so I was like, I figured he's probably going to kind of rate this stuff. But I'm still going to go off the would I watch it again? Would I recommend it? But I'm also going to give it either a thumbs up or a thumbs down on whether or not I enjoyed this movie. And some of them, they ranked, like, in terms of, like, points-wise, because I have points. They ranked low, but I still gave it a thumbs up because I enjoyed, for the most part, going through this movie. But that's how I'm going to, like, rate these. I don't know if you want to follow the same kind of pattern that I am or if you wanted to do your own thing, how you want to do it. But that's what I'm doing. I wanted to let you know so you didn't seem confused as you were going through.
Thanks, man.
Oh, you were totally welcome. So do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, because, while you've been saying all that, I've been trying to ignore you. I've been looking up the wiki pages.
So you can remember?
No, just so I can, say who the director was and stars and all that.
I probably should have done that, but I didn't. Oh, well. Well, I know you have one that's the same. Did you look up Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Cause
That's not one of mine.
Oh, is that not one of yours?
I just watched it.
Okay, because that's one of mine. That's one of mine, because I thought, even though I enjoyed the movie, like, what? I gave it a
You got a whole list?
Most of these are, like, not part of the list. They were just, like,
horror movies. Oh, because you said you were bringing 3, so I brought 3.
I got more than 3.
Well, I got 3.
I'll just fill in if we have to. And for the most part, we watched most of these together. So, like, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, we can kind of bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
I think because, okay, what I liked about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was the weird props that they set up to just roll what looked like just actual tomatoes down the hill. I thought that stuff was hilarious. But other than that, I didn't give a crap about this movie. I gave it a thumbs down because it was just, the jokes just felt off-putting. I liked them going into the office scene and like it's like this tight little cramped room.
And they all have to crawl all over each other.
I loved that, but most of the stuff in this movie, I was like, these jokes just don't land for me. I don't know why. Like they just aren't doing anything for me. I did not enjoy them. And then, like, the end, I'm just going to... Spoiler for, like, basically all of these movies for the most part.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I recommend, even though, like, if you have, like, nothing else to watch, I'm going to probably be like, yeah, go ahead and watch these movies if you have nothing else, just because to get a good chuckle out of them every once in a while. But they're not highly recommended by me by any means, most of these. But that movie, it was just, I liked the props and like how they set certain things up, but like the end of the movie, like the whole weird singing scene between, I was just like, I'm just ready for this movie to be over with now. It was dragging. And that movie, I had gotten 20 minutes into it and I stopped it.
20 was your limit?
And then I went back and I watched another like 20 minutes of it and then I stopped. And then I came back and I finished the rest of the movie out and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking terrible. I don't know why this is dragging.
See, it didn't start dragging for me until like a little bit after the hour mark because I was totally in.
It was like when they started making the really cringy jokes, I was like, oh my God.
So the start.
Yeah, pretty much.
But for me, movies like that just kind of run out of their appeal after a while. Like they go on too long, or like there's a big stretch where it's too focused on like wrapping up the plot instead of keeping that charm going.
Yeah.
And it just runs out of goodwill for me, and it definitely did.
Yeah,
Even though I loved it at first.
I mean, I didn't love it at first. Like I said, what I liked about it was like the weird props that they had set up. Like they made like weird giant tomatoes for when like the one dude who would dress up in disguises. When he would like sit next to them and like I was like this is kind of funny, but the jokes that were actually made, I was like, these are not funny. The props and the tomatoes rolling around and like attacking people, that's funny. They give me more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love
the weird jokes.
Well, there's a lot of movies too. One I'm definitely talking about where like the movie itself is kind of bare bones and lame, but the creature is so good that it like. And Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, definitely for me, it's like I love the creature more so than the movie.
I can agree with that. Because, I mean, I give it a thumbs down just because of all the jokes.
Well, I give it a thumbs up.
Okay, well, there you go. That's our new rating system. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Needs more tomato action.
I agree with
Besides
that.
people
I agree
talking.
with that. I totally agree. But, I mean, I don't have anything else to say on that movie. It was good, but would I recommend it? if you have nothing else and you just randomly hear about this movie like I did, and you're just like, sure, why not? Let's see what this weird, goofy movie's about. Go ahead, watch it if you have the time and you have nothing else to watch. But I wouldn't highly recommend it by any means.
Why not?
Because I didn't enjoy the jokes. I said that. I said what I said. I won't.
We'll break it down.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Do you want to go next, or you want me to just kick out some on my list?
I'll go ahead and go.
All right.
All right, so my first pick is The Giant Claw from 1957, directed by Fred F. Sears, and starring Jeff Morrow and Mara Corday. It's a giant monster movie with the probably... It's only really known because it's like one of the craziest creature designs.
Is this one that
in
you had
movies.
told me about to watch? That was like on Tubi?
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely on Tubi because I see it right there on your phone.
Like, look at that.
What in the world? All right, I'm going to have to watch this.
It's... Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. It looks like it's on crack cocaine.
Dude, I love
What
it.
in the
It's one of my
world?
favorite creature designs.
It looks like a turkey on
It's so
crack.
good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the whole appeal of it.
That is, I'm gonna have to watch this for an audio medium. I think I explained that pretty well
Yeah.
for what it was.
But it's made of antimatter, so it can make a shield where it's almost indestructible.
What in the world?
And
All
it's
right, yeah.
basically constantly referred to in the movie as being as big as a battleship.
Wow. Okay.
That's like its common description. And there's
Oh
so
my
much
God.
like green screen uncanniness that like kind of makes it weirdly creepy, even though it's not. I mean, I guess it is trying to be, but it's not in the way it's trying to be.
Yeah.
It's in the way that it's not, where it's just really off-putting and weird. That makes it kind of creepy to me. And most giant monster movies don't. Like, look at that. If I was in a movie theater in the 50s and I
Oh
saw
my
that on the
God.
screen, I'd be a nerd.
Yes. I agree.
It's just that and the stock footage and just, like I said, just the monster design that just makes me love it. Like, I love that creature design. I would have watched the whole series. Like, King Kong and Godzilla. Giant Claw in the Monsterverse. Please. Please. I would die happy if that happened. And it's just got stupid, funny, like, random dialogue
Yeah.
that makes it kind of quirky, so that way the people scenes aren't too bad, which is rare. And it's pretty short. It's like an hour and 15.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. It's
Yeah,
on Tubi.
like I said,
Yeah.
for the creature alone, it's...
I'm going
it's
to let
worth it.
everybody know that most of the movies that we're bringing up are all pretty much, if you're in America at least, they're on Tubi.
Tubi's got everything.
It pretty much has like all like old horror movies or just old movies in general. Like if you have an old movie that you want to watch, like Tubi probably has it. Is that all you have to say on that one?
Yeah.
My next movie is Motel Hell. In this movie, it was released in 1980, directed by Kevin Connor, and it's basically these people run a royal hotel like out in like the sticks pretty much, and they earn most of their cash not off the hotel, but the guy who owns it makes this amazing like meat or pork or something. And so I just want to go ahead and say that the movie, like the vibes that this movie gave off, though I did enjoy this going into it, it was kind of slow and it kind of meandered every once in a while. I enjoyed the concept, but it gave me really Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes, and like how like the one dude like would smoke meat, but it was human meat, and he would like make chili and like resell it and everything. But this guy was basically making like pork with human meat and like pork meat, or I can't remember exactly if it was pork or what meat it was, and then he would like resell it, and people loved his like the meat that he would make. And that was how they got most of the earnings. And like basically people who would stay at the hotel, they would get like drugged, and then they would take them out back, remove their vocal cords, bury them in the ground, like head, like up to their head, like their necks. So then like just their head sticking out with like, then they can't scream or talk because they have no vocal cords. And they basically just like feed and water these heads in a garden. And like he's been doing this for years and years, and he like whenever they're ready, he basically hypnotizes them and then uses a tractor pretty much and yanks their heads and snaps their necks and then pulls them out and makes them into meat. And like it was just so weird. And then you get to the end of the movie and there's just this crazy chainsaw fight, basically like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where like they're just fighting with chainsaws, and like the guy who owned the hotel or the motel had like a pig carcass head on and was fighting the cop with a chainsaw. And I was like, this movie all of a sudden just flipped the script near the end and just went balls to the wall. And they were like, just do what we want. It's fine. It doesn't matter. People are going to enjoy this or they're not. And to be totally honest, I enjoyed this movie. I give it a thumbs up. And I would recommend it because it was hilarious. And like the dude who runs the hotel is just this old man who's like super religious, and like he finds this young girl and basically takes her in because she like loses her memory or something, and her brother dies. Her brother's one of the people that he ends up cooking. But then like all of a sudden the girl falls in love with the old man, and like she tries to have sex with him, and he's like, no, we must get married first in the eyes of the Lord. And I'm like, bro, you're chopping up people in your backyard. Why do you what? And so then they end up getting married just so that they could do the nasty. And I was like, this movie just, I don't know what's going on, but this is hilarious to me because it's just so dumb that I enjoyed every second of it. And there like wasn't any like cringy humor in it. Like it just did what it wanted to do and just kind of had it be that. And I was like, okay, I can accept what this is doing. And like I said, it gave me like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. So that's what I kind of liked about it. But definitely would recommend it if you, like I said, most of these are if you have nothing else to watch. You could watch it. I think it would be a good little horror movie comedy watch. What's your next one, big boy?
I got
nothing. Load up.
Fuck off. The Tingler from 1959, directed by William Castle, written by Rob White, and starring Vincent Price.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty iconic name. So, it's about, basically there's this like leech kind of looking thing called a Tingler that lives in your spine, and it'll kill you.
This is one you also don't
unless you scream when you're scared.
What?
Yeah. But basically they end up being able to remove it from somebody that died from fright because they didn't scream or whatever. And it's just them basically trying to figure out how to kill it.
What in the world? That's like basically all you can really say on it because it feels like that's all there really is to it.
Well, here, let me just read what the wiki says just to be more clear. The film tells the story of a scientist who discovers a parasite in human beings called a tingler, which feeds on fear. The creature earned its name by making the spine of its host tingle when the host is frightened.
Interesting.
And I don't know if you know anything about William Castle.
No.
But Mans was a clown whenever it came to his movies being in theaters. So for this, there was a part where the screen went black and then floating heads show up telling you to scream, and your chair would vibrate in the theater and you'd have to scream.
So it was like a 4D experience.
Yeah, basically. Theater. Well, he did that shit with House on the Haunted Hill too, because I know there were parts where like skeletons would float around and stuff.
Really?
Or people in the crowd would come mess with you.
That's pretty cool.
And I just
that's
wish
like a different way to do things.
Yeah, I wish I had been in that theater so bad. Because now when you watch in the movie, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, because
it's like why is this
popping
here?
up? Yeah.
And also, it's a black and white movie, but there's a part with like basically an acid trip, and some of it's in color.
Interesting.
It's just such a weirdly made movie, and I love it. I love the creature. That's another movie where it's just the creature design so good, but I don't think it's as boring as a lot of other like movies that kind of just completely rely on the creature.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Oh, do you got a picture of the creature you're gonna show me?
I can't show you. I was just looking.
So it just looked like a centipede.
Yeah, basically a centipede, yeah.
That's interesting. And it just like is on their spines type of thing?
All of our spines.
All of our spines. All of our spines.
Make sure to scream. I just think it's kind of funny how they try to give like a reason why we scream when we're scared.
That's funny.
like a in universe kind of weird reason.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a great movie. And I think thumbs up.
Thumbs up. That's good. Do you not like my rating system? Is that why you're making fun of it right now?
No, I'm just making fun of you.
That's fair. You don't.
It's like Cisco and Ebert did it before you.
Huh?
You didn't invent the thumbs up.
No, I didn't. I didn't say I did.
You
I just
called
said
it your rating system.
That's how I'm rating.
I call BS.
Well, I also had the other two things that I'm doing as well. Yeah, ass. If you'd listened to me, but you didn't. You ignored me. You even said it. All right. So my next one, I don't know if you also had this, but it's Slugs.
I never got around to it. Dude, because I get really burnt
missed
out
out on
on
a great one.
movies like quirky,
Yeah.
upbeat movies like these really fast. So I just
I
quit
don't blame
watching
you.
them after a while.
So this was released in 1988, directed by Juan. I'm probably gonna butcher this name. Pinquer Simon. Like I said, I probably butchered that guy's name. And it's basically this town gets taken over by mutated slugs, mutated killer slugs. And so, like, I don't even know how to explain it. But, like, they're basically coming up through, like, the sewer system of this town. And, like, they're getting into people's food. And, like, they're just eating people alive. There's, like, at one point, these two teens are, like, doing it. And, like, they notice the slugs. And so, like, the guy is, like, standing up on the bed. And, like, the slugs are all over the floor. And he tries to jump to the window. But, like, he doesn't even jump. He basically just falls off the bed right onto the ground. And, like, immediately gets eaten. So then the chick's first reaction is just to take off running. And she takes off and slips and busts her ass right on the ground, and then she just ends up. That was like the funniest part of that movie, is that whole scene. And then there's like these two characters. Like, there's a scientist, the health department guy, who the whole time is kind of like, hey, there's slugs that are killing people. Like, we need to shut down the water and make sure that they aren't coming through our water system anymore. And like the mayor of the town's like, no, they're not. You stop lying. That's not happening. And like they turn on the water pipe and no slugs come out. And of course, like 2 seconds after they turn off the water pipe, here comes a slug after they've already walked away. You know.
Yeah.
That kind of trope. And then so they go into the sewer to basically take on these slugs. And there's like this one guy who I actually liked, and he ends up dying. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But it's just like a weird, quirky movie. I liked like the characters and everything. I thought were really cool. The story, I don't know, it just seemed like it took too long to get to the end. Like there was so much like going on in the sewer that felt like not needed at all. Like they could have just gotten to the end a lot faster than what they did. And of course you always have like the typical like higher up management type of person who's like, that's not true, that's not happening, like just shut up and just let everything play out, like nothing's going on.
We need the plot to advance.
Yeah. And so it's just like, okay, whatever, I don't care. And I mean, I don't mind it. I enjoyed it. I didn't care for the like slug design or anything. It looked kind of creepy, but I mean, it's just a slug.
Yeah.
It was just like a really giant slug is basically all it was. And I mean, I would give this a thumbs down. But I still enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I'm giving it a thumbs down, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But I also wouldn't recommend this movie because it felt so slowly paced at certain spots that I was like, this could have been totally different if they just paced it a little bit better. But because it just seemed like it was paced so slow, I was kind of like, eh. I mean, I know a lot of people ended up liking this movie, but I'm not one of those people that like this movie. I couldn't stand it. It seemed like it took too long to get to the end. So, do you have another one, or is that it? Oh, wait, no,
Go
you got
through
one.
most of yours.
Okay.
And then I'll do my last one, and you can do your last one.
The next one I had was Trolls. And I liked that movie. So, I also have the stuff on here. I'll get to that one as well. But Trolls, it was just like weird, goofy. I like the troll design. I thought it looked really cool, and like the evil little troll who was trying to basically take over this apartment complex to bring back all of his little friends. and it turned out that he used to be like a wizard king or something like that. And did you watch it?
No.
You didn't? I thought
I've seen it before, but it's been a long time.
I thought some of the guy who played the troll was also like a character in the show, and like I thought that like his acting was probably like the best out of like everybody's acting in there, because everybody else was basically goofy and like not serious, but like he was like the only like serious character kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked what he had to do, and the dad was the guy sweaty hands from The Stuff, so that's why I brought up The Stuff. And I thought he did a really good job, because he was just basically the quirky, goofy guy in The Stuff, just in this as a dad.
Mm-hmm.
The little girl was kind of annoying, but she's also was the troll for most of the movie. The little boy, like the brother, like the older brother, I thought he was kind of annoying throughout most of it. But for the most part, I enjoyed, like, I stayed in tune for like most of the movie. Like I didn't ever get really bored with what was going on. I thought it was pretty enjoyable to watch. So for that, like I give it a thumbs up. It had Elaine from Seinfeld in it when she was like really young, and like she looked good. And like I was like, whoa, like I didn't expect that, because at first she popped up and I didn't realize who it was, and I was like, wow, like this is young Elaine. Like she actually looks like really, really good. I mean, as a kid, I always thought she looked good in Seinfeld, but like in this, like she's so much younger. Well, probably not so much younger, but younger than what she is in Seinfeld. And I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. I feel like this is one that I would more recommend, just because it's nice and goofy and it's a nice little romp to go through. I enjoyed it for the most part, though. Do you want to do another one?
Go through all yours since you got one left.
I have a lot. All right, the
That's
next
what I'm
one.
telling you,
The
go
one I'll
through
do
'em.
next. The one I'll do next is Body Bags.
Oh, John Carpenter's
John
movie?
Carpenter's movie, and he like plays like basically a dead body in it, but he was the whole time you're thinking that he's basically one of the people working on the dead bodies. And it's basically like an anthology kind of movie where he tells 3 different stories that aren't connected, but they're all like bodies or something inside of this. What is the name of, like, not a is it a crematorium? No, I can't think of the name of what it is. Mausoleum? I don't know. I can't think. You're not really helping. You're staring.
Why need to get to it yourself?
I can't, because I can't figure out what it is. I would Google it, but by the time I look it up, it's just going to be a lot of dead silence. But I thought it was like really goofy and fun, and it didn't feel like a John Carpenter movie, but at the same time, for like when like the scary stuff would happen, like have you watched this movie?
No.
Have you not? Because the first one's like takes place kind of in a gas station, and like when you find out who like the killer is, and he starts like hunting down the girl who working at this gas station, and it's just like, holy crap, like that felt like the first kind of like Halloween. And so it kind of gave off that vibes, and then you get like to the next story, and that one gets like a little bit weirder and kind of felt like They Live kind of vibe. And then you get to the last one, which had Mark Hamill in it, which I thought was really cool, because then I ended up looking it up afterwards, and Mark Hamill's actually in 2 different John Carpenter movies. The other one's like The Town of Survival or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was called. But I thought all 3 were like told really interesting in different ways, and like they had that like nice like comedy factor, but they were also like really creepy. Like especially that last one, because the last one has Mark Hamill, and he's like a baseball player whose eye gets injured, and so then he gets like a donor eye, and like all this crazy, he sees all these crazy things happening. And then you find out who the eye actually belongs to, and all this other crazy stuff happens. And it's just, that one was probably my favorite out of all 3 of them. But the first one gave me, like, Halloween vibes. The second one gave me They Live. And, like, the third one, I don't really know, like, because I can't think of any other John Carpenter movie. But, like, it gave off that nice, creepy vibe that John Carpenter's really good at doing sometimes. So you're not really sure what's going on, but it makes you feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I really loved, like what that one did. I think I have only really one left. Hold on, let me look. Well, I have Hobgoblins, but I don't want to talk about that because I did
Thumbs
not.
up or down?
Thumbs down. I did not enjoy it. Because like you had said, I'll get into it a little bit. You had said that it was kind of like a rip-off of Gremlins.
Where
It
like everything was.
Yes, and it definitely was. But I did not enjoy it at all. Like, I thought it went way longer than it should have. The little hobgoblins just looked like the evil gremlins. And so I was like, yeah, I just don't care about this movie. And some of the stuff that happened, because, like, what the hobgoblins do is they bring out, like, your biggest fantasy and you just want to, like, do that type of, or something like that. And I don't know. I just didn't care for it. And some of the jokes were kind of cringy in it. I was like, And I already talked about body bags. So, yeah. I mean, the other one I have, I'll talk about. It's just like one of the bigger ones that I wasn't going to go too big into.
Okay. So am I good to go?
Yeah, you can shoot your shot.
All right, my last one is the Final Destination.
Oh.
Final Destination 4.
Really?
Yes.
I love those movies.
Well, everyone hates this one.
I can't.
But I think it's my favorite. The first one's my favorite.
Tell me what it start. Like, how's it start?
It's the racetrack.
See, I like that one.
Yeah, most people don't.
Because that was like one of the first ones I had seen as a kid. Does that one have the one with the pool scene?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that's like the funniest like kill to me.
Well, that's why I enjoy it, because it's just so stupid, but it just is like, hey, you know the structure. Let's just do it.
Bro, if Final Destination taught me anything, it's to never drive behind a truck that has like logs set up on it. I will never. Like every time I see one, I'm just like, nope, I gotta get past this guy. I'm not staying behind him for any means. But yeah,
I just like how stupid it is.
Oh, no, it definitely is. Like, that fourth one, it was just crazy. Like, some of the kills in it were just insane. I remember it for the most part, because it was, like, the one that normally came on TV the most. But I remember watching it. Does it also have the car wash scene?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm telling you, the fourth one's the one I remember the most.
Yeah. I mean, and it's got cartoony, like, really forced 3D moments.
Oh, my God, yes.
His like visions or whatever are really slideshowy and like shitty CGI.
I agree.
And I just, because I know people really like 2 and 3, but I never got into them because they were too serious.
Yeah. But
goofy stuff still happened where it's like, all right, now it just seems weird. At least the fourth one, it feels like all the stupid stuff fits.
Oh no, I agree. I like I said, I remember watching the fourth one. I think the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, because I can remember more of the kills out of the fourth one than I can most of the other ones. Is the fourth one also the one that ends and they're like in Paris or something and like the billboards? Which one's that? They're like the billboard sign or like the construction site starts to fall down.
That's the first one.
Is that the first one? Mm-hmm. How the first one ends? Okay. I don't remember how most of them end. I need to go back through and rewatch those. Those movies used to crack me up. I was like, these are just weird kind of wacky kills. Because which one is it? Final Destination 6 that it's like the theme park at the beginning or something?
That's the third.
Is it the third one?
Idiots.
Is there no 6? How many is there?
5.
Okay.
Idiots.
You're right.
You should know all of this. You should know all of pop culture right now.
I don't know all of pop culture.
Idiots.
You're right. I am. Do you have anything else to say about Final Destination, or is that all? Is that all you're gonna say?
I feel like I haven't said that much about any of these, but it's just,
yeah. I mean,
like
they're just weird, wacky movies.
So dumb they're good just isn't really for me. Like there's so few, and even the ones I do like, it's like I love the Final Destination because it's like if that was the first movie, I probably wouldn't even like it, but because it's kind of got the context of the first 3.
I mean, after you get so far in and like kind of horror stuff, it's kind of like, well, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
like,
I get so bored so fast because I've seen so much, you know.
Well, I mean, you got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then you go to the second one, and they're just like, well, I can't do. Like you said, you can't do the first one, so he's like, I'll just do whatever I want. And that's pretty much what they start doing with horror stuff. Is as you get so far in, it's like, well, let's just do whatever, and people are probably gonna tune in anyways.
Well, it's like the Giant Claw. I wouldn't really even care about that movie if it wasn't for the monster design.
Oh, yeah.
Then, like, the movie about giant ants, I love that because it's such a crazy
What's the one with the giant spider?
Tarantula.
Is that what it's called?
If it's the old black and white one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because it's in. I think we brought this up before.
In Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
A shitty movie.
Get the fuck out of here, you son of a bitch! I'm in.
Or like Dark Star, John Carpenter's first movie.
Oh yeah.
Like that movie kind of sucks, but because the creature design is so funny, I love it. Critters, you know, I love those little monsters, but I'm sure the movie's fine for whatever.
Yeah.
I can't really remember it, but
I don't know.
it's just context behind these movies that make me like them. But as movies themselves,
They're just kind of off-putting.
I couldn't sit there and binge them like I could like Friday the 13th and stuff like that.
No, I agree. I agree with you. The last one I had was that's like a big pulp culture. Oh, more so now, like people really love it now than what they I think really did when it first came out. But it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I was like, you know what? That's probably one of the weirder horror movies.
It's probably the king of this genre.
But it's so good. Like it's one of those that you could probably rewatch and still enjoy it almost every time.
Yeah.
You got Richard and
Paul.
Rich
and Paul.
Richard and Paul.
Rich.
Is it just
Paul.
Rich?
I don't remember.
I thought his name was actually Richard. I
don't
can't
know.
remember. But I mean that movie, because I had never watched it, or I'd watched it once before and I couldn't remember, and then I rewatched it just recently. And that movie, it just cracks me up because like they just like spin everybody up into cotton candy, not cotton. And just hang them and then like eat they're like the cotton candy slowly like ripping off the flesh of the human. And then they like eat that, and then they have like the popcorn gun that shoots little popcorns that turn into actual like monsters. Like that movie is just so goofy and like everything works.
Yeah, because they came up with a crazy idea and actually capitalized on it. I feel like a lot of these, it's like crazy idea, generic plot to
it's like
keep it going.
They like make the crazy monster and then they kind of pull back and they're like, well, let's not make it too crazy. Whereas this, it's like, well, here's crazy idea and here's crazy plot.
Here's follow through. Yeah.
And so like everything that happens in that movie is just so absolutely insane. And of course you got like the main cops who are like, this isn't happening. There's not clowns going around killing people. What are you, idiots? And like obviously they don't believe because it's like they follow that same kind of trope. Like it does like a good job of following like the same tropes but making it hilarious, like funny to watch. Like they over exaggerate some of those things, and like the clown designs were just creepy looking, and like it just worked out so well. And then you get like some killings that are just awesome, like the shadow puppets.
The shadow puppet scene is actually creepy.
Oh yeah, and then you get like what Clownzilla at the end.
Yeah,
and it's just like a giant puppet clown looking thing, and it's just like you could tell like they didn't really try at it, and they were just like, "Fuck it, let's just put it in. Like it's fine, it'll work." And it kind of reminded me of, like old school Godzilla. It looked like somebody in like a giant suit just like walking around stomping, and I was like, this is hilarious. Like I love everything that this movie is doing right now.
Yeah, it's great.
And I thought they did a really good job at telling the story. And like obviously years down the road, like obviously when it first came out people were kind of like but now like down the road
it's still relevant.
It's like a classic and cult classic movie that people go back and watch, and they're even making a video game about it. And so it's like, and people wanted like a sequel to it, but I don't think a sequel would ever really live up to what the first one did. I mean, just do it.
I would just be too worried about CGI.
Yeah, because
I feel like if you do CGI, because it's so close to being kind of like a Lake Placid or Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus, but it's reined in and got the practical effects, and
that makes it work really
it's got
well.
a little bit of still creepiness to it. It doesn't try to be all comedy, but I feel like if you bring in CGI that doesn't look good,
because they would
it's instantly going out the window.
They would definitely try to make the clowns like all CGI. Yeah, I agree with you on that. And so, I mean, I keep hearing that the video games they're coming out with is kind of like a sequel to the movie.
That'd be cool. I don't want it to be like the same story.
Yeah, I kind of want something new and fresh, but at the same time, don't like run it into the ground or anything. I don't even remember when that movie came out. Was it like was it 8 or 78 or like 80s?
I think it was 80 something.
I can look it up. Unless you are.
No, you do it.
Okay.
You know all about pop
88.
culture.
Who's it directed by?
I know the Chiodo brothers did a lot of it, like a lot of aspects to it.
Steven Chiodo. And also, I think the poster for this movie was just so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
'Cause it was just like a clown arm like spinning the earth like a basketball. Man. But yeah, I don't have really anything other movies that are weird and creepy. I know I've been watching a couple here and there, but those were mainly the ones I wanted to bring up on the podcast. I was like,
Yeah.
I think these are good to watch if you have nothing else to watch. And you just want to, I think Killer Clowns is one of those, like,
It's
you
probably
should
the
probably
best.
watch it, yeah.
It's probably the best one. Well, I've referenced a lot of them, like Dark Star, Critters, there's Piranha, stuff like that. Those are all fun, but to me they're probably not they don't break that wall of, well, it's like right now I'm not really enjoying too many slashers.
Yeah.
Because I've just seen so many. Well, especially going back to old ones like Prom Night and stuff. It's just like I've seen this a million times. It's not the movie's fault. It's just it's kind of like the last wave I'm really getting around to. So of course they're not gonna be that interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Have you watched Happy Death Day? I mean, that's a slasher.
Though Happy Death Day, but they do something new. That's what I'm looking for is like
new
kinda,
slasher
yeah.
kind of vibes.
Those movies are amazing.
I haven't watched the second one. I've only watched the first one. There's a second one, right?
Yeah.
All right. It's like
That's
Happy
what those
Death
movies
Day
means.
to You or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the second one, but yeah, I mean, those are really the only weird movies that I wanted to bring up because they were probably some of the weirdest ones that I've seen. I mean, I know a lot of older, like, 50s horror is probably super weird to watch now.
It is.
But, like, it just makes it fun to watch because of what they had to do to get those creatures to look the way that they look. I mean, obviously, the claw.
The giant claw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that looked, the bird looked creepy. I mean, like I said, it looked like a turkey on crack cocaine. But if you guys have any weird horror movies that you've watched in the past that we didn't bring up, go ahead. I mean, you can email us at OutLoud&Awkward. Tell us your thoughts. I mean, you can follow us on Instagram, post them in the comments. Tell us what weird horror movies you've watched in the past that we didn't bring up that you were like, whoa, this is so stupid that it's funny and cool.
I know Evil Bong is a thing.
Evil Bong.
Evil Bong, Ginger Dead Man.
Oh my god.
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost I've seen. But yeah, email us at outloudawkwardpod@gmail.com. You can follow our socials, which are
Out Loud and Awkward, ampersand with no spaces, Instagram and Twitter.
Did you figure out the Reddit, or are you waiting to do that?
Not yet, because all the trying to get passwords and stuff threw me off. But I'm going to try to
Yeah,
put
we
it
had
together.
a little mix-up on passwords over the past, 2 weeks.
Yeah, Richard screwed us all
I
up.
didn't screw us. You made the accounts. You forgot the password. We have the Patreon still. You can watch or listen, not watch. Listen to our episodes on there. Hopefully, we got stuff coming up somewhat soon. I have to figure out how we're gonna do commentaries and stuff like that. If we just watch it on my MacBook and it's just silence like Weekly Planet does. But hopefully we can do commentaries sometime soon and upload those on our Patreon. But the lowest tier is $1 because it won't let me make it anything lower than that, or I lose money. It's okay. So I had to make it $1. I'm trying to think what else. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, we have the YouTube channel. I guess I can shout out the fact that I've started streaming again. It's been streaming video games on my gaming channel, but if you guys want to check that out as well. But I think that's all we really have. I don't have anything else to say. Do you have anything else to add, buddy, oh boy?
Everybody get hype about Hunter x Hunter coming back.
Everybody get hype about the new Halloween Ends. It's actually already out by the time this episode releases.
Let's just pray it's good.
Oh, I hope so. It's the last one. There's not going to be any more after that.
Yeah.
It's Halloween Ends, the very last Halloween movie. There will be no more after this movie. That's the title.
True.
It's a very long title. I don't know why they made it so long. But we will catch you guys in the next one. I hope you all did enjoy. Peace out, everybody. I was waiting for you to say something at the end.
I couldn't think of anything.